Everyone, my name is Esther Klein. I am your host of the Klein Report. We have a special guest, Peter, here today, who's going to tell us a little bit about Fabled Copper. So first of all, welcome, Peter.
Thank you very much, Esther.
It's a pleasure to have you.
Yeah, and it's always interesting to talk to different people about the possibilities of copper.
I love that. I love that. So my audience wants to learn about Fabled Copper. So first and foremost, I guess, tell us a little bit of background about yourself and a little bit of background about, the company as well.
Oh boy. Well, I'd give you 35 years, 35 seconds, but I don't think we have 35 seconds.
We have 35 seconds. Go ahead.
Yeah. So originally started as a engineer, mine engineer, and then geologist. Ended up in Val-d'Or, Quebec for Placer Dome at the Sigma mine. I was there, and then from there ended up at Ore Resources at the discovery of the Louvecourt deposit. And then kind of jumped over to Newfoundland and the Hammerdown deposit, and over here and over there. But the interesting thing where it all led me to was Mexico, and I guess my claim to fame was a company called Scorpio Mining Corporation. But it was me, and then me and my wife, and me and another person or whatever, and became a big company and got bought out. And then we created another company, Scorpio Gold, and that got bought out. And Naya Gold, and that got bought out, and everything else. So now we come down to Fabled, 35 years later, and I was retired. I had no interest in going back into this game at all, except for COVID hit, and I got bored.
Fair enough.
Yeah, no, I mean, you thought you'd be traveling around the world and doing stuff and everything else and reaping all the rewards from your hard work, and you can't do it anymore. And Fabled showed up, and I owned a lot of Fabled, and basically I went in and cleaned house and rebuilt the company, and it just went public December 21st.
Wow. Just okay.
Oversubscribed financing. We closed at $6.9 million.
Unbelievable.
The board that came on were all not only friends, but work people that
Colleagues.
had retired or had not been on boards before.
Mm-hmm.
So the amount of knowledge and how, like, we have the capital, we have the brain power. Yeah, no.
Unbelievable.
It's going to be fun. And we have the asset, more importantly.
And okay. So sounds like COVID, ended up, bringing some positivity to your life. I mean,
well, it all depends, because now that everything's going back to normal,
you're like,
I'm in quicksand, right? So
do I retire? Do I stay in it? Is that kind of what's going on?
No, I'll see this through the end. I mean, this is
through.
I got all my friends into this.
You're committed.
This is going to be good. This is going to be good.
Amazing. Okay, so I guess tell us a little bit more about Fabled. What do they do? Tell us a bit of background about the company.
Sure. Fabled, and I will, this is going to sound kind of dumb beginning, and then the one thing in my experiences in the world, I've operated and built mines in Mexico and USA and Canada and everything else, is you always have to remember that you're always a guest in a foreign country. And what I'm about to say means no disrespect. But the first thing we did before we even went into this property in northern British Columbia is we had a meeting and a supper with the Fort Nelson First Nations and let them know. And Chief Gale, who is one of the few women chiefs ever in that area, that we had a very, very, very good understanding, and they're very understanding business-wise.
That's very important.
It is, because if you don't set the groundwork for
Absolutely.
someone else's property, then you're going to have a problem down the road.
Totally.
So having said that, we took off like crazy, and a lot of veterans and everything else, and met with the locals, talked with the locals, and everything else. The interesting thing about the property is that in a very small area, 6 miles by 4 miles, there's this huge concentration of copper.
Of what, sorry?
A huge concentration of copper.
Copper, right?
Yeah, way above normal.
Wow.
And so what we're trying to do is define that, but not only define that using historical data and not disturbing the land anymore, but also define it using new technology as drone work and satellite work and all this other stuff. One of our goals, and we've been working towards it, and we've been doing a lot in a very short period of time. But this year, 2022, with all the news that people will be hearing from 2021 from us in a very short period of time, is 2022 will really be the year of involvement. Yeah, exactly. Boom. Yeah, or as my little godson says, boom, baby. Like
It's gonna explode.
You will see. Is this what we think it is? Yep.
Okay, that's good to know. So, Goldman Sachs, referred to copper as the new oil, right? Which is a big statement. So I guess, it's important for the audience to know, what are some practical uses of copper? Where is copper needed? Why do we need copper so badly? Why is this such a big deal?
Oh boy. Well, first of all, you wouldn't be talking to me if you didn't have copper. Number two is the majority of the old houses, that we live in, up to I would probably say 10, 12 years ago, it's all copper pipes. Right. Now, we in North America, or some of the more advanced countries, switched over to PVC pipes, for water pipes and everything else. But think about it, all over Europe, all over third world countries, Asian countries, are copper pipes. And on top of that, you have all your refrigeration appliances, you have electrical appliances and everything else. And then finally, at the end of it, the final load is going from ICE to EV, right? And that's three times the load.
Right.
Which you think about it. You think about putting a system and then putting 3 times the demand on a system, and it's not ready to reply. Yeah.
Right. So copper is essentially needed everywhere. And yeah.
It is. But the good thing is copper is green. And why it's green? Because copper is recyclable. It's not expendable. It's recyclable. You can use it for something and do something with it, and then you can take it out and recycle and get the metal back. You might lose like a 0.1% of the volume, but still, it's recyclable, so it's green. That's everybody's crying for green.
That's fantastic. Are there any exciting, projects or companies that Fable might, partner with? I don't know if you can, discuss or disclose that information.
No, that'd be kind of cool to be able to say something like that. But no, we're a little fish in a big pond, and but we like our copper pond that we're in.
You like your copper? I like that. So, copper supply is low and prices are high. It's a classic, supply and demand situation. What do you have to say on that?
Well, it will. As you probably saw, and you follow this too, is that China's GDP just came out, and it actually fell, which means that their copper consumption was less than everybody thought it was going to be. And the copper market didn't react at all. Like, it didn't even hiccup. I think it went up a couple of base points, which is quite you have to think about that. If you really know your metals, that's quite a statement.
That's crazy, right? Can you explain to, because we have a lot of people who probably don't know what that means. Can you expand on that a little bit?
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
Yeah, no problem.
So what that means is, you know, if you look at the population base of China, and you put it on per basis, per person, per house, and everything else, the volume of copper that they consume is just phenomenal. It's huge. So a lot of consumption in the world, they base that on, you know, China, the big countries, you know, China, US, this, and they get a track of it. So when you have one that falters and doesn't consume as much, but the metal's still being consumed by the surrounding shadows and everything else, you have to ask yourself, well, what's going on here? Because if the big monster hasn't taken a bite yet, but everybody else is biting like crazy, there's going to be a time where there's not going to be much left. So yes, we are in a crunch. We are at the beginning of a crunch, and I'll tell you what's going to drive this crunch. Two or three things. One is permitting great big super project, open pit projects in whatever country you're into. It's going to be a long, involved affair. Not only environmentally, but you know, aboriginals or indigenous or wherever you are. Whereas the higher grade underground mines that have virtually no footprint,
right,
are going to be the ones that are going to be the flavor of the day. And
targeted.
you can take that. That's my belief.
That's right. That's what you think. So where does, you know, Fabled see themselves in a couple of years, in 5 years, in 10 years? Do you have any sort of long-term goals, plans, or kind of just taking it day by day, seeing where the waves take you?
I think it's you know, day by day. You know, we're a brand new company, just came out of the gate.
Right.
If you ask me that question in a year's time or 2 years' time, I'd be happy to answer it. But I just, you know, right now it's pure exploration / development exploration.
Right.
With a bunch of guys that know a lot about stuff and got a bag full of money.
Fair enough. Okay, yeah, it's still at the early stages.
Yeah.
Okay.
So
Yeah. Maybe we'll have to have another interview in a few years so I could ask you this question again, eh, Peter?
Well, I hope I'll be retired at that time.
Oh, fair enough. Hopefully you'll be traveling at that point.
Yeah.
I'll catch you in Panama. Very nice. Yeah, okay, so, you know, just last question, which, you know, is very important to address. You know, is now a good time to invest? Did we miss the boat? Is the boat just taking off now? You know, I guess tell us a little bit about that.
Well, I would say, and I'm not doing this to promote it as being the CEO of the company or anything else, but as of the close today, I think the stock closed at 5.5 cents or something like that, with a market cap of about $8.9 million. And it has over $6 million in the bank, almost equal to its market cap. And it has these very high level copper projects that have been proven in 2021 or verified in 2021. So do you think it's a cheap or undervalued entry point at 5 cents for a company of this quality? I would say so.
I think I would agree. That's fair. Yeah. Okay, so now is the best time to buy. Better than ever.
You
would say so.
You can't argue with it. I mean, you just do the math.
Yeah.
Just go look at it.
Yeah.
Do your own homework.
Do your own research. Absolutely, absolutely. Okay, yeah, that was awesome, Peter. And I guess, is there anything else you think is important for my audience to know about, you know, the company, about copper in general, or anything you'd like to just add before we end off?
Well, I think what we're going to see is we're going to see there's going to be a lot of business, bigger business starting in British Columbia as far as the government being more pro mining. And on top of that, I think that what you're seeing, I know we see it, and we call it FN. It's Fort Nelson's First Nations. They're fairly busy, business savvy, so they will not probably not impede any progress you want to make on an asset because they understand the business sense of it. Whereas in other parts of Canada, it might be the other way due to lack of, of experience. So, some of that stuff's tough to call, man. Tough.
Tough to call.
Yeah.
Right. Right. Okay. Well, thanks, Peter. I definitely, I just want to like re-highlight the, two important things that we chatted about. That copper is really everywhere in life, which you taught us today. And
Right.
I think that the fact that you said that copper is green is really important. There you go. Look at that. That's a nice piece of copper.
There it is, 1 kilo.
Wow. Look at that. Love it. It's a beautiful piece of copper. I take it. Yeah. And like I said, copper is green. I think that was very, valuable information that not everyone maybe knew about. So thank you for sharing that. And yeah, it was a real pleasure chatting and, looking forward to seeing, how things go for Fabled. And best of luck to you.
Absolutely. No, you watch us. It's going to be interesting.
You're going to soar. Well, thanks, Peter. And thanks, everyone, for watching. My name is Esther Klein, and that's it from us. Have a good one.
Thanks, Esther.